Welcome to the EVM61 podcast brought to you by ETC Core and ETC Labs. In this podcast series, we'll talk about Ethereum Classic news, general things happening around the Ethereum stack, and interviews with fabulous people and projects in the industry. Since it's nearly the end of February, we're going to catch up on highlights in the ecosystem since the beginning of the year, so please bear with me. I promise these episodes will be shorter or longer depending on the topic, more specific and done on a regular basis. So let's get caught up in the year. The Ethereum Classic Network successfully activated the heart-to-heart fork on January 12th, which included Ethereum's Constantinople features reaching compatibility with the Ethereum blockchain. This enables the vast majority of dApps and use cases on Ethereum to be applied to the Ethereum Classic with minimal worries about incompatibilities across smart contracts, tooling, and frameworks. And of course, Solidity versioning. Solidity. Ethereum Classic will be inclusive of a subset of the Ethereum Istanbul features around June. This hard fork is codenamed Aslan, and you can visit etcnodes.org for a live dashboard regarding this upcoming hard fork, especially if you want to know what client versions you should be running. That's definitely where you should go. But speaking of protocol events, Ethereum Classic is having a significant monetary event very soon, even before this Aslan fork. Many are not aware of this, but Ethereum Classic has a fixed monetary policy similar to Bitcoin. However, Ethereum Classic has a block reduction of 20% every 5 million blocks, and block 10 million is approaching in an estimate of 27 days. We'll dive deeper into ETC monetary policy in a later episode, but you can learn more about this at etcis.money, which contains a real-time countdown. Unfortunately, the popular ETC Block Explorer gas tracker is no longer in operation, but and even Block Scout announced they'd remove ETH and ETC hosted services on their Block Explorer. However, the Expedition Explorer is continually maintained by ETC Core with even new miner statistics, and ETC Cooperative collaborated with Block Scout to continue its ETC service, which is pretty awesome. Also, speaking of ETC Cooperative, ETC Co-op funded the Viper team to support ETC, which allows smart contract developers using Viperling to target the Ethereum Classic network. Viperling is an alternative to Solidity, featuring Python-like smart contract language. So if you're not a fan of Solidity and want to write smart contracts in Python-like code or contribute to a new smart contract programming language, then I absolutely recommend you to check out Viperling. Asset manager Grayscale is also extending funding to the ETC Cooperative for another 2 years, which is great to see organizations making long-term commitments to ETC. And Grayscale in particular has also been a long-time supporter of Ethereum Classic, so great to have them still contributing in the ecosystem. OS City and ETC Labs partner to promote blockchain solutions. OS City is a member of Cohort 2 in the ETC Labs Accelerator program and is expanding its impact with new applications to give artisans and craftsmen the power to promote their work for a global market. The Artisan Origin or AO project, with the support of ETC Labs, uses blockchain to validate the work of craftspeople working in far-flung enclaves of the developing world, from Latin America to India, China to Malawi. Etherplan by Donald McIntyre wrote on why ETC will 1000x in the medium or long term. One of his arguments is if the base layer only achieves 50% of the value of gold, then BTC will be worth $2 trillion or $95,000 and ETC $1 trillion or $4,760. There's more arguments he makes, but I'll simply provide you a link to the article as well as everything else I talk about in this episode. ETC Labs makes a donation of $1 million to the UNICEF organization, which Terry Culver, CEO of ETC Labs, mentioned blockchain can bring better delivery of aid to places with a lack of infrastructure, provide identity solutions, and better protect privacy. ETC Core released their Q4 2019 development update. Definitely get up to speed because ETC Core may have a roadmap announcement coming. We hint right there. But anyways, let's continue on here. Digital Finance Group, a major contributor to Ethereum Classic, joins the Chamber of Digital Commerce Executive Committee. Headquartered in Washington, D.C., the Chamber of Digital Commerce is the world's first and largest trade association representing the digital asset and blockchain industry. Digital Finance Group is a multinational corporation committed to the development of vibrant, mature, and regulated blockchain digital asset ecosystem. So it's great to know an ETC portable like Digital Finance Group is helping advance cryptocurrency through the regulatory climate. ETC Core released a new tool called Signatory, which is an offline transaction and message signer for the Ethereum stack. Now, people don't realize how significant this tool is, and I'll explain why. So it's compatible with Ethereum Classic, Ethereum, and basically any EVM-based network. It has a really interactive API docs, deployable as a standalone server, and of course, signing things offline is more secure, and it can be implemented in your usual Node.js projects. So if you're running a regular Node.js project, if you're starting a project if you're using npm packages, like you could literally install this into your like normal stack and start interacting with Ethereum like tools and just point your signatory to sign a transaction somewhere, and your traditional app signing Ethereum related use cases. But when you think about a deployable as a standalone server, like that has a lot of use cases there too, including particularly in even IoT. And IoT is kind of a broad spectrum of things. But more specifically, let's say if you have a Raspberry Pi or any other small computing device that can maybe support a node module such as Signatory, then you could have that in a supply chain signing thing with sensors, and just there's just in even like hardware wallets. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with Signatory to one's imagination. Anyways, continuing on, ETC Core announced the alpha release for the EVM LLVM backend project. This was so long awaited by all the EVM communities in general. So this project brings LLVM infrastructure to the Ethereum stack, enabling developers to use a large scope of programming languages to target the Ethereum virtual machine and benefit from LLVM's mature tooling infrastructure of debugging, validators, static analysis, and being in existence for nearly 2 decades. We'll likely see more secure smart contracts and cheaper smart contracts due to LLVM's highly optimized compiler infrastructure. So if you want to create the next hottest smart contract programming language for EVM-based networks, definitely get on this project. ETC Labs has announced a collaboration with the Phantom Foundation, the nonprofit behind Phantom, the open source modular platform for distributed ledger products, to bring crypto-agnostic DeFi features to the Phantom ecosystem. In particular, Phantom will use the XAR network, a DeFi-oriented public blockchain built using Phantom's Latch Assist and TXFlow consensus as a more extensible analog to the popular Ethereum lending platform MakerDAO. So awesome to see Ethereum Classic getting involved in DeFi. In other news, ETC Core, ETC Labs, and ETC Co-op, as well as some individual ETC contributors, attended ETH Denver. Myself in particular, I was surprised to learn how many ETH devs are mining Ethereum Classic. However, we're all the same EVM family, so it's all good. Shout out to ETC Core's Zane Starr for demoing OpenRPC project nearly all day to developers and projects. Shane Jonas and Zachary Belford of ETC Core won the MetaMask bounty, creating a MetaMask Snaps plugin generation tool and using OpenRPC's tooling to create an absolutely awesome solution for MetaMask Snaps. I'll provide a link in the description so you can watch the demo. And we also had presentations from Isaac Artis from ETC Core and Bob Summerwell from the ETC Cooperative, talking about what's going on at Ethereum Classic. And Isaac had an amazing presentation on readability and the philosophy behind that, and how to implement your general software development projects, and of course the projects of ETC Core. So I'll have a link to that in the description too. So thank you for joining me on this podcast. If you would like to come on the show, there will be a Google form link in the description. Feel free to fill that out, and we'll get you on the show. As well as, please like and subscribe. Support this initiative. And I hope you all have a very, very wonderful day.